All right, guys, thank you for being here today. If we haven't met yet, I'm Kristen Grindle. I'm one of the OIDCs, which is an online instructional design coach for Mountain View. There's some other OIDCs joining us. Freeman's the host right now, so he'll be answering any questions you have in the chat. So as we're going, I encourage you to open that up and ask any questions in there, and then he'll interrupt me and have me clarify anything, or if he can, he'll just answer it directly in the chat for you. So every campus, every high school has OIDCs that service that school, and then any of the schools in their feeder pattern. So all of you should have an OIDC that you can reach out to. And then we are all helping each other too, so you can always reach out to us as well. So today's training is going to be on some of the communication tools in Canvas. And a lot of these are useful all the time, but especially in this remote learning environment, they're pretty important. So on this page, this is from the Cohort course. So this is something that everyone should have access to that has all of our trainings, tutorials, other things. It's kind of like you can come in and a la carte what trainings that you need. So they're sorted out here by theme, and then you can use the index as well to find specific things a little bit easier if you want. But the things we're covering are all in this communication module, which is announcements, inbox, Webex, and then discussions specifically for communication purposes. So if you need more tutorials or guidance, you can always come to this page, and there's a bunch of resources in there for you. To get to that page, you should have a course like this called the Canvas Cohort, and then whatever your high school feeder pattern is, that will be what's right here, and then you'll see the logo for that as well. So that's how you can get in there. And you can also get PD hours for any of the things that you go into here. All right, so let's start with announcements. So announcements are a way to basically blast out a message to your course. So if we go into my example course here, you'll see in the navigation menu, announcements. Now, if it's invisible to your students, you'll see a little eyeball here, and I can show you how to disable that later. But basically, we're gonna go in here, and all you have to do is click add an announcement. And then it's very similar to pages or assignments after that. So you'll just type in the title and whatever the announcement is here. Then you're able to use all the rich content editor features, so you can embed links, videos, whatever you need to, change the font, make it all fancy. Really anything that you would do in a normal page, you can do here as well. And then down here, you can choose what sections you want to go to. So it can be everybody or just certain ones. If you're not quite ready for the announcement to show up, you can hit delay posting and then choose a date when it's going to show up. So maybe like you're prepping for next week, so you can have this post on Monday. You just want to get ahead of things, and it'll automatically go out at whatever date and time you do. I don't use this podcast feed, but and then I do this allow liking just so people can be like, hey, thumbs up. And then to save it, just like everything else in Canvas, you're gonna follow those blue buttons and hit the save when you're done. And then you'll have a lovely announcement there. So there's some other features with announcements. So one thing you can do is allow students to reply to announcements. And that requires you to go into a special setting. So you actually have to go all the way down to the bottom here to settings. And scroll all the way to the bottom again and hit more options. And then this first option, or no, where is that? Here at the bottom. It says disable comments on announcements. So if I uncheck that, then now students would be able to reply. So that's up to you. I haven't had students commenting on my announcements, but it's definitely a way you could communicate with them. If you want to uncheck that just in case, what you can do then, if we go to the announcement, is it actually gives you an option now that I've unchecked that and I hit edit. A new option will show up that says allow users to comment. So if I uncheck that now, then I have the option from here on out to either allow or not allow students to reply to the announcements. And then if I hit save, for students, that reply bar will now be active and they can say something there. Notice that before this was a little eyeball saying you couldn't see it, and now that eyeball is gone. Anything in this navigation menu that you have allowed students to see but don't have anything published in, it actually won't show up to students until something's publishable. If you have published an announcement and that eyeball is still there, you can go again back down to settings and your navigation menu. And then all this list are things that the students will have access to as soon as something's published. So to change anything, you would click this disable, and that will take it out of that section and throw it down here. If I wanted to bring it back, I could either drag it up there, or I find that kind of annoying sometimes, so I just hit the enable here. And then like always, we want to follow the blue buttons and hit save again to make that where we want it. So I think that's the big, oh, one other thing I wanted to show you with announcements is there is a feature still in here. So again, we were in settings, and then if we go to course details and scroll all the way to the bottom and more options, so it's the same place where we were allowed to uncheck that disable comments. We can also show recent announcements on the course homepage. So if I check that, and then I'm allowed to pick any number here. So we'll just leave it at 3. I hit update course details. When I go back to my homepage, which is the first thing students are always going to see, now those announcements are going to pop up right on the top, and students can click on the name to then get to the full announcement. So that's the main thing with announcements. Freeman, is there anything I need to clarify or go over?
Are you aware of any restrictions about the size of files you can put on? You can attach to the announcement. I don't know.
I am not aware of that.
Okay.
People having issues with that?
It seems that way, but I mean that could just be recently because of the overload on Canvas, but I don't know.
Yeah, we can check on that if you want to take a note of who asked that question, and then we can get back to them on it.
Okay.
So sorry, we don't know the answer to that. So I think I just saw a comment pop up about a super long video. And sometimes it seems like the videos more than like 15 minutes are really struggling in Canvas to upload. Did I read that right, or was that Freeman? I can't see the comments. It just like flashed in the corner.
No, you answered that question. It's fine.
Okay. All right, so we're good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you was, did someone have a question? Sorry, I heard someone say something.
Oh, I just said yes.
Oh, okay. Thanks. All right, so I wanted to quickly show you Webex. This is not going to be a full extensive Webex training, just a quick introduction to it, and some pointers as I've started to use it. But in the navigation menu, you'll see Cisco Webex. This is an easy way to set up the meetings and trainings with your students. If this has an eyeball next to it, then we do want to set that up by going into settings and setting that up in the navigation menu like I showed you before. So Cisco Webex, we'll click on it. And the first time you go into this, and I know a lot of you have done this already, but just in case, you'll see this setup feature. So we want to choose virtual meetings and office hours, one of the two. We do not want to use classroom collaboration right now. So if you have been using that, you should go back into the setup option and uncheck that, and then hit apply. And then we want to sync our time zone. And if you haven't already, you'll need to authorize it with the LMS. That just syncs it with your Canvas. And that's all that you need to turn on. So notice that now that I've clicked those two, I now have these new links up here, virtual meetings and office hours. So for virtual meetings, this would be to invite like your whole class to, and it would be a Webex meeting through Meetings. And all you have to do is hit new meeting here, type in the name of the meeting, whatever time that you want the meeting to be at. And if you were having issues with time before, that has been fixed. So we're really excited about that. And then how long the meeting is going to be. And then all you have to do is hit create meeting. So when you do that, it's going to show up here and you'll see the option to host, edit, or delete. So when you're ready to start the meeting, and it doesn't even have to be at that 2 o'clock, you can start it a little bit before. All you have to do is hit host and it's going to pop it into a new window for you to run the meeting. On the student end, what they'll see, so if you didn't know you can do this, there is, when you go to settings, the student view option, you can kind of view things as a student. And if I go, where's this go? Webex, there it is. So what a student's going to see when they go in to virtual meetings is that there's a meeting scheduled, and what they'll see is this join link. So that will open it up, allow them to join the meeting. Super easy for them. No real extra steps should need to be taken. All right, and then the other option that I checked was,
Kristen, can I comment on that? Okay, so I played with this a little bit and I set up a meeting and I had a student just about an hour ago try to, and when she clicked on it, when she clicked join, it prompted her to download the app. And I told her it shouldn't do that. So I posted a message on the general thread and somebody answered and said, oh, if they just X that out and click join again, it'll take them straight to it. But when she tried again, it didn't. The only option it gave her was to call in, and then it took her to a pre-recorded message.
so I might not have the best answer for this, but so if anyone else wants to chime in, feel free. I do know that some students have been having issues who haven't like restarted their computer recently, or haven't just like maybe they need to clear their cache or other things. They should have the Meetings app already downloaded on their computer. So if for some reason she could check down in the bottom here and search, and if she types in Meetings and it doesn't show up, then she might not have the app, and it's possible that that does need to be downloaded on her device.
Well,
So I have a question. Any of our junior high kids are working from home on their own household laptops. They would need to download that.
Yes, I believe the answer is yes to that.
well, my question is because it seemed like if it was a high school student who's using a school issued device, that it should already be downloaded. Like they shouldn't have to download it. But we'll figure it out.
Okay, and I'll check on that, and I'll make sure that we have a clear cut answer for that. For you guys. Yeah. So the other option that we were going to talk about was office hours. So for office hours, you will get, and this is back in teacher view, you get this panel of all these dates and times. So you have some choices. You can decide how long the meeting would be, and also if you have a buffer on it. So a buffer would basically block out whatever time frame you pick here before and after the meeting, or you could choose no buffer, and that's just gonna then lock in all the meetings as it is. And then you have a few different options here, 15 minutes, 30, 45, and 50 minutes. So basically, these office hours will generate a personal meeting just between you and whatever student chose an office hour. So whatever ones you click on, and it turns kind of, it gives that blue outline, that's going to then be available for the student to select. So if you know, like you're going to have a meeting at a certain time, you can uncheck those ones and kind of check this each week to see when you're available, when you're not available. And then students could just pop in and choose one, and it will send you a notification that you have a meeting scheduled. And then as always, you want to hit save whenever you make changes. Now, once you set up office hours for one class, it will be the same office hours for all of your courses. So there is not a way right now to distinguish between different courses. It's just like a general office hour time, but you do have to go in and actually set up each class and make sure that you have done that. But once you've enabled office hours, then it's going to be enabled for everyone. So that's just like a quick how to set it up in Canvas. I believe there's going to be more trainings coming up on actually using it and using some of the other special features in there that will be coming soon. So,
hey, Kristen, real quick, is there a way to distinguish between sections when you're setting up these meetings?
So for virtual meetings, there's not. What most teachers are doing in Finding Successful is they're naming their training based on the class. So it would be like first hour training, second hour, third hour, so on. But there's not a way to do just assign it to a specific section. Does that help? Any other questions?
So somebody asked a question about how students are able to message each other once a meeting is established. Is this accurate?
It would just, the only messaging options that this Webex sets up is within a meeting, they can chat in the same way people are chatting in this meeting. It does not generate, we do not want students using Teams, so that's why we didn't in setup choose the classroom collaboration. There's just too many things that can go wrong in there. So there's not like a general chat that's developed if that's what's being asked. Does that help? If you have this checked, I would uncheck it for your class and hit apply. If there's no other question, go ahead. Sorry.
The question was asked, how would students choose a time slot for office hours?
Yeah, so we can go ahead and look at the student view for that. So again, the student would just go to Cisco Webex, and you can move this higher up too. And they would click office hours. So notice when I was in teacher view, I had a huge list. Now this is just showing only my times available. So they'll choose one and then just hit confirm meeting. And it's going to send me an email notification that someone scheduled a meeting with me. I think it's freaking out because it's not a real student. So scheduled a meeting with myself. Did that help?
So is there a way to have chat enabled for students during, I'm sorry, is there a way to turn off the chatting that students can do during the meetings?
So you can go into Webex, like the actual website, sign in there, and then there's a bunch of settings that you can go into and change. And I do believe you can disable chat settings. I think once the meeting started too, I'll have to confirm this, but I think up in Freeman, you can look because this is a meeting too. You think you can turn off the chat features while you're actually in the meeting as well, up in the menu at the top. So. If there's nothing else, then I'm going to move on to the inbox. So the Canvas inbox is a way. Oh, was there another question?
Just quickly, is there a way to email or set up only parent meetings through this program of Canvas, or does that have to be through the WebEx meetings to set them up?
That would have to be through WebEx meetings because this is only for the students enrolled in your course. So.
And then I haven't gone through all the feeds, but I think they answered it that we can set up small groups. So if we only want to chat with like 4 or 5 people, we can, correct?
So you can't like uninvite people to your thing. It's going to invite everyone in your Canvas course, but you can designate like, hey, this is for this specific group, so only come in here if you're signed up there. There's always a link generated too, so you could also share that with specific people. So like for example, I set up a meeting in my class yesterday, but another teacher teaches the same thing as me. So instead of her setting up a separate meeting, I just sent her the link that I got through webex.com, and she shared that out with her students, and then we were able to have both of our classes together in one meeting that way.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, one more question. I know I forgot
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Doing those signups with the students on that day or time, do we go through Canvas or do we go into WebEx meetings and go into our private room? Does it link us that way? How do we access the conference time or meeting time?
You can access it right through Canvas.
Okay, and we would just click on that time and it'll take us right there?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
For office hours, I've accessed those usually through, it sends you an email notification too, so that's just how I've accessed them. But all my virtual meetings, I've gone through Canvas to do that. So. All right, so one other way that you can communicate with your students is with the inbox. So if you were with me the other day, I showed you how to use the gradebook to message students who, and that'll send them a message. It's actually sending it through this inbox. So this is a way you can access those if you want to see who you sent messages to, and they can also reply to them. But this is also a way you could just message a particular student. So it works in the same way that normal email does. So you have different options up here. So this is where you can choose your courses. So favorite courses are going to be anything that you have starred in your dashboard. More courses will just let you access anything that you are in. And then concluded courses would be past ones. And then groups would be specific groups you've set up in your courses. So right now I'm in this practice course. And then you have a drop down here as well. So inbox could be anything that's been sent to you, but you can also go through and sort that by unread, starred, sent messages, or archived messages. So sent is where if you're trying to see if you sent a message through the gradebook, this is where all of those are going to go to. To compose a message, there's this little pencil icon over here. So when you click on that guy, you get a lot of the same options I just showed you, but in this. So you can, again, from here, sort out, okay, what class do I want to message? And then if you actually want to message an individual student instead of the whole course, you can type in different student names here. And this little book here will let you look at specific people. So I can message all the teachers in that course. I can message one of the teachers in that course, all the students in the course, or specific student groups within that course. Or I can just message everybody. And then just like a normal email, you'll have a subject line. You can say send a separate message to each, or if it's like a group message. And then you can also hit attachments, add media, and then hit send when you're ready to send it. Notice all of these are kind of grayed out. When you're actually in a message, that's when you're going to get those options. So this is the reply all, throw it out, or you can mark it as unread, forward it, or star it with the little settings cog. And then this is the same little address book that I showed you before where you can search a specific person. So some teachers have been using this. If a student's not responding to their email, but you know they've been active in Canvas, then you can message them directly in Canvas. And what will happen is the unread messages will show up. You'll have a little icon right there. So let me see if I mark it as unread. I don't know if it's gonna catch up. Oh, yeah, it did. So you'll see this little inbox picture here will show up as one. The students see the same sort of thing. So when you send them a message, they'll see it there, but it'll also go to their email. So that's the quick way to use Canvas to message students. Any questions on this part that I can answer?
Kristen?
Yeah.
I just wanted to do a quick explanation for everybody. So I checked send as an individual message to one of my classes when I was trying to reach out to students, and then I was trying to track who had actually written me back. And so it was really helpful that I had sent 4 messages to my 4 English sections, and the ones that were all in a link together, it's not like the students could see each other's responses, but it kept all the second hour responses together. So I just wanted to say, as like a public service announcement, if you uncheck that or don't check it, the send an individual message, then you can keep them all together. Otherwise, every kid that responds to you, it just makes your list longer and longer and longer. And that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's a good tip. Any other questions?
What was what she called it, was the unchecking and not checking, but what is it that she clicked on?
So right here, this when you're composing a message, you have the option to send an individual message to each recipient. So that could be checked or unchecked.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right, so the last thing really quickly, then this will be super fast, and then we'll just go into a general Q&A session, is, if I go back to my course, I just wanted to show you, if you haven't used them already, that some teachers are also using discussions as an option for communicating with students. So typically a discussion would be very focused, but you can have like a general Q&A discussion that students could then post a question that would maybe be good for anybody to see, and you can post a response, and then hopefully maybe minimize on some of the back and forth questions that you have if you're constantly asking the same thing. You could also post something there. So to add a discussion, you're just going to click on discussions in your navigation menu, and then add a discussion. And just like everything else, it's very similar from this point out as to the options. So it's like an assignment, an announcement, a page, all those things. So you have a title spot, a place to put your content, who's going to see it, and then there's some options here. So threaded reply is going to let people respond to specific people. You can allow liking. You can set up an available from an until date. You can also do it as a grade. And then as always, we want to just hit save. I'm going to just cancel this guy. And then you are able to, from that point on, you can see any discussions that are coming in and answer any questions. So that was the last thing I want to show really quickly in that section. And yeah, now we'll open it up for questions. Oh, Freeman, can you post the link before people leave to get PD credit for this time?
Yes, I will right now.
Thank you. So Freeman's going to share a link with you. If you can fill that out, then you are free to go. Once you've done that, if you want to stay and ask some specific questions, then you are more than welcome to hang out a little bit longer.
I don't have a question, but I did want to say someone had asked about having issues with students getting into a meeting and it was downloading something, trying to download the Webex meetings. Yeah, I had that for this meeting actually. I tried to get through the link and it was telling me I needed to download Webex meetings, but I knew I had already downloaded it, and I had read the Google Doc that someone, you guys, I guess, had posted about what to do. So I just closed it out and re-logged in, and it automatically popped up the app. So I'm just assuming it might be a glitch with the program itself, because I recently cleared my cache. I mean, I restart my computer every single day. So I don't know if that helps problem solve or troubleshoot anything, but I think it's just a weird function of this program, perhaps.
Yeah, and that wasn't scheduled through Canvas, so it might just be the Webex meetings thing. I do know, I mean, my son is in elementary school. He's not accessing things through Canvas, but they are doing WebEx meetings. So I did download the app. It was really easy to do just from the WebEx website. But thanks, Kristen. That really helped, though. Tracy, you can just put the basics training is fine for filling out the form. Are there any other questions or comments for the good of the?
I saw one of the options that it said, let's see, lock browser or something such as that. And I don't know that it applies to this specific class, but I just didn't know what that meant exactly.
For the lockdown browser, is that what you asked?
Yes.
So lockdown browser is a way to make quizzing more secure. It prevents them from going into other websites while they're taking a quiz. I don't recommend using it in this virtual platform because the only way, if they're using a school device, the only way for them to get that lockdown browser is for IS to actually download it. And if they're having to use a parent computer or something because they're like maybe sharing devices or they're at a school where they don't have a device, they're not going to be able to download the lockdown browser. So in this virtual environment, you're kind of putting up an obstacle that it might just cause more stress for everybody and
Not needed. Okay.
not much, but I will say when we're back in physical classrooms, it is a wonderful tool to just help add a layer of security while you're still proctoring a quiz to just make sure, when you're on one side of the room that they're not clicking to other websites on the other side of the room. So,
Gotcha. Thank you.
no problem.
Hey, Kristen, you know where they can find more PD classes for WebEx? I know EdTech is offering a bunch, but I honestly don't know where those are.
So the virtual meetings calendar, let me get that link really quickly, is going to be where any of the live ones are. So we're kind of updating these as we make them. So that's the link for this week, and then you can just click out to see the other weeks up at the top. Then I think the website, I know that our admin shared out a website in the email. Let me pull that up. That has just like all of the different PD stuff, but we can definitely recommend or put on a training for anything that you guys want. Where is that? This guy. So this is the remote teaching website for, I just threw it into the chat, that has the calendar for the virtual trainings as well as other courses that you can sign up for that are through Grow and kind of like self-paced on your own. You can also get PD going through that Canvas cohort too. But if we're wanting a WebEx specific training, like a live one, I can definitely put in for that to happen. We can see.
Random question. Sorry, this is Tracy.
Okay.
So right now, as I'm in this WebEx with you guys, you're across the top of the screen, and then the full scope of your screen is available to us at the bottom. When I did a couple of WebEx meetings, that's not how mine looked. So how do you get this exact like layout so that the kids can see the full screen? Because my window with me was actually blocking part of what I was trying to show them.
So up in the top right corner are different view settings, and I believe students actually can change that on their own too. So they can opt to do a grid. So the grid's pretty cool because I like that. That one is like Brady Bunching it for everybody, so you can see everybody's faces. That's kind of nice if you want to do like a, hey, everybody give me a thumbs up if you're okay sort of thing. Or just to see each other's faces. And then you can do the full screen or the panels, I believe. I don't think that whatever I choose happens to everybody though.
Well, your screen just changed to being mainly your face, and before it was the screen.
So that
now-
all I did was stop sharing my screen.
Okay. All
So
right.
if I
Thanks.
share my screen back, I have noticed too that depending on what share screen option you pick, so there are options to like just share your Google Chrome. Last time I did that, people were saying they couldn't see everything.
Okay.
Also, I know that I played around with it a lot in these meetings. If you hover at the top, you'll see all those little icons of the widgets, and it'll tell you which one it is. So if you just start clicking, then and then you can do the, I learned this one yesterday, the flag and then the arrow to the left or flag to the arrow to the right, then you can have the multi-screens pulled up at the same time. Anyways,
Nice.
yeah, anyways, and that was a cool tip. Yesterday, or no, I wanted to ask about the surveys, but I don't know where I should pose that question. Do you guys know, like if we're in the middle of these meetings and we wanted to do a survey, can we create those questions prior to?
That's a good question. I've never tried to do it prior to.
So do you have time to create those questions? How does that work?
So you can do it while the meeting's running for sure by just hitting the polling option. I would have to check. I'm wondering if it would be maybe in Webex for that. So
Okay.
like if you go, so you can, even if you set it up through Canvas, and if you sign into the webex.com, you can access all your meeting settings and set up different things in there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I saw someone asked about muting everybody. So if you're the host, you have the option at the top to mute upon entry or to mute everyone, or you can actually go in and when you're looking at the participants, you can click on individual microphones to mute or unmute people as well. Now they can turn it off, but you can always just click it back on. So that's one reason why like Freeman is hosting right now, so that I don't have to focus on that. He can go through and check mute status on people, make sure that we're hearing who needs to be heard and not hearing other things. But when I've done these with my class, it's not usually as many people and, you know, it's students. So it's pretty easy to just kind of scroll through that participant list and just click people off, or at the top, like Freeman mentioned, you can just mute everybody from the settings up at the top. So. And this is all new to us too. I'm sorry that I can't answer everybody's questions, but we're all learning how to use Webex these last few weeks as well. So every day I find some new cool features. Like one that I really like, you can actually pause your screen. So it's kind of like freezing your screen for your projector. So I don't think you guys could see me fishing through my emails, right? Earlier, I froze the screen and found those links for you guys. I don't know, Freeman, could you see my screen when I was doing that?
I wasn't watching, sorry.
That's okay.
I think it did freeze, but where do we find what widget or drop down do we do? Do we need to navigate?
So it's when you're in the share screen and you go up to the top, there a little menu pops down. And the options, that's where you would stop sharing. The one right next to that is pause. And then you can, that's also where you can mute yourself, turn off your microphone, open up the chats, or you can annotate. So I can actually like draw on the screen right here and like point to things and circle things
Nice.
with my
And that's
pen
all under
or
the
with my
share?
hands. It's
And that's
all
all under the
once,
share.
yeah, once you hit share my screen, then that toolbar will show up when you move your, I just muted myself, sorry. When you move your mouse up to the top of the screen, it'll like drop down and you get all these fancy options. That's also how you can poll or change other stuff while you're in the screen presentation view versus if I stop sharing, I get a normal, like the same menu that you guys see, file, edit, share, view, audio. But for you guys, a lot of those are grayed out and you can't do those things because you're just an attendee. But the host would be able to mute all, unmute. So you can actually, some of those things that were being asked about, you can click on those features at the top and you should be able to see what they are. They're just grayed out for you right now because you don't have the same privileges.
Right. Okay, thank you. And you're doing great. I appreciate all the help. You guys have been wonderfully helpful. So thank you. Being patient with all my questions. I'm sorry.
No, of course. That's what we're here for. So we want to answer your questions. And that's why we wanted to do these live sessions too, instead of just sending out like video tutorials, because if you didn't get something, then you can't see it. Thanks, Kristen. I saw your comment that you couldn't see my emails. So the pause does work, and then students can't see your screen if it's paused. Any other questions or other things you're having trouble with we can help you out on, or things you want trainings on in the future? We're always happy to hear that as well.
So Pamela had some pretty specific questions I didn't quite understand. I don't know if we want to address those now, or can you try to explain those real quick? Pamela, is that the name right?
Okay, so what I did yesterday is I created the Webex within my course, my main course. And I had at that time left the collaboration checked. But then this morning when I got my first message from a student like we do in our teams, I went back in and switched it off. And now I'm still getting messages in there whenever from students all morning long. So I don't know if there's something to turn that off or if that's just a feature because I created a meeting time.
I believe you can archive that team and that will then disable it. Let me see if I can get a better.
No, I know, guys. Okay, well, we'll try another time. All right.
I need to switch my view back so I can see my course, because I definitely did go in and switch it, but
so I think now you would have to go into Teams.
Okay, so
get rid of it there.
So are you talking about like where I would see like my Avid team or my English team?
Yeah, like into the WebEx that we're communicating with our.
Okay, I was looking for something. Maybe there, I see, okay. I'm in my third hour. Oh, I can archive the team. Will that turn it to them so they can't continue to message me?
I believe so. I'm trying to get verification on that though.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind.
I think when you click on it, yeah, I think when you click on it, it does say, it tells you what it's gonna do. I'm pretty sure, but I'll check on that.
Okay, so I went into one of my class periods here where they haven't messaged at all.
Freeman, have you heard how to get rid of that?
So it says archiving a team will hide the team from all its spaces from all team members. Are you sure you want to archive period 1?
It seems like that would be what you want.
I know. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they could message me. I think they can see what everybody else is saying, and I don't want it to turn into
Yeah.
a social hangout.
Well, and that's the problem and why we don't want those activated, because they can also start meetings without you. They could share files, content, and so it's just not a place that we want to have to supervise all the time. So it's safer on our end to just not have it going.
But they can still chat at that point while we're having the meeting, though, right?
You can chat during the meeting, but we're encouraging students to use and teachers to utilize office hours for interacting with teachers. You could use a discussion board for them to communicate. Or if you already have established like Remind or something like that, you could use something like that to communicate as well. So
Okay, I like Remind.
just email. It's just email me. So
yeah, that's what they're doing. I think that's easy, but I don't even know how the teams were developed.
well, it automatically makes it when you click that collaborations box, and so. But unchecking it apparently doesn't get rid of it. So that's what I'll try and get a answer.
Okay, then I think I'm set on that question.
Button. Is that the normal default? If we were to set that up, does it just happen normally?
For the collaboration space, we'll automatically set up a team, yeah. And we don't want that to happen. So
we have to make sure with our first setting it up, we have to unclick it then?
Yeah, don't check that one. Just the virtual meetings and the office hours, if you're going to use office hours.
Okay. And then is there a way to disable their ability to be able to share their screen?
Yes.
It's like right now, if I hit share, you guys would see what's on my screen, I'm pretty sure, because I accidentally did it one of my meetings. But it's like the moderator, because I think it's a valuable tool for students to say, well, this is what I'm doing, and they want to show it to us, but I just don't want to be hijacked in the middle of, can you tell I teach junior high kids? So anyways, I don't want to be hijacked.
We're talking about meetings, right?
Yes, in meetings.
And it looks like if you unclick it and share, that'll stop it from it.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't know if we had that. Thanks.
I believe too, like if I share my screen, Freeman, since you're the host, can you take it away or no? Freeman, are you there? I can't, you're muted.
I don't know.
Okay, well, that's something we can look into too and make sure.
What about, I can stop your video. So there's ways to stop them from doing things.
Yeah.
And that's going to be under participant then?
So when you're the host on the right-hand side where you see the participants, you right-click on them and it'll give you a list of options. One of them is stop video.
Okay. Do you have, is there a select all button, or do you have to go kid by kid or participant by participant? Sorry. If there's a question to be asked, I'm sure I'll find one to ask, even when there's no questions to be asked.
These are definitely the things we want to know, though. So
well, I'm sure
I think if you can,
the only way I can see is individually. You can expel people if you want.
Okay, yeah, they talked about in my other training this morning that you can put a kid in a lobby, but when you put the kid in the lobby, like if they're being, this was it, because I also teach at the elementary school, so I have to learn that side of the programs too. But anyways, but they can't hear or see anything, so it's like you're putting them in timeout, and they're not able to connect with the community at all.
Like putting them in the hallway.
Kind of, yes. I'm like, that's a good one too. You need to get out of your class just temporarily. And that Excel button, like your security breach.
That makes sense. Well, we'll connect with our EdTech people too. I know that they have a ton of digital resources for Webex, but we'll see if they can offer a specific Webex training.
So I was just playing around with things at the top, and for a participant, I have the option to reclaim a host role. Would I actually be able to take that away from Freeman? Like, that seems dangerous.
No, if you actually go ahead and click on it right now, and what you see, you need a host key to be able to do that.
Awesome.
That's an option, like how Freeman and I are doing this together, or like yesterday, Erin Meldrum and I were doing a meeting together. If I shared that host key with her, then we could basically pass it back and forth at who had those controls. I haven't used that yet, so honestly, I don't even know where you would find the host key. It's probably in the WebEx meeting, but that is how, or I know it's got to be an option somewhere in there. But for her, when we were doing it together, just like how Freeman and I are, we'll just communicate and say, hey, can you give this person privileges, or can you do whatever? So
Cool. Okay, thanks.
So I saw a question in the chat for adding someone who's not in your Canvas course. So if you go to webex.com and sign in, you can get to your meeting, and there's a share URL in there that you can then give to anyone. So like I said, that's how we did that meeting together. I set it up in Canvas, but then I went to WebEx and pulled the meeting URL, and my partner teacher shared it out with her students, and that's how they were able to join.
I think in participants, you can also copy the meeting link and send it out while the meeting is happening.
Yeah, I see that up at the top because I'm going to be hosting an Avid meeting tomorrow, hopefully, just to try it out. And when you click on participant, it says copy meeting link. And I can do that as the host and send it. Then, okay, that sounds easy enough. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, thank you for all your time. I'm signing off now. Bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much for joining us today. If no one else has any questions, then I'll sign off. But
Good?
we're good.
I take the silence as a yes, so I'll go ahead and
All
end
right.
this.
Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you all soon. At least virtually, right?